Good morning, my dear students. Once again, welcome into the subject of geography. In this morning, as we're meeting with you, the Form 1s, allow me to really say a word of thank you because of your participation in the subject of geography. Now, we have been doing the population structure until we continue, whereby we're doing the less economically developed countries and the more economically developed countries, where we're trying to look into the relationship between those countries which are poor and those countries which are rich. One of the most critical and role of which we had to look as a relationship in the way that the poor countries or the less economically developed countries supply the raw materials to these more economically developed countries and the rich countries. And these raw materials, as have been supplied, they're supplied at low prices. For example, these raw materials are these cereals, for example, the groundnuts. We see rice, we see cotton, we see tobacco, we see even minerals which have been taken from this region, especially in Africa: copper, silver, diamond, gold, to mention a few. All these have been transported, that is, to more economically developed countries. These are being processed in those countries. After being processed, we see them again being transferred to these less economically developed countries at a higher price. As they are there now, once they come back to Africa or any other country, they attract a higher price. And these prices become exorbitant to the poor people. Additionally, we also looked into the area whereby we said the chief exporting products of the less economically developed countries are the agricultural raw materials, of which they go to the more economically developed countries. And the more economically developed countries, their chief export are the products of which they manufacture into these regions of the less economically developed countries, of which they are there offered at higher prices or at exorbitant prices, whereby they're making more money. It is of no wonder to see that these countries which are rich, they're becoming richer and richer, because they are really obtaining their products at expensive prices to the poor people. At the same time, the poor, they do export their raw materials at the lowest prices, more than just give away. As we're proceeding with this population structure today we are proceeding with the population structure. We are proceeding with the population structures, but we're looking into the differences within the countries. What are the differences which we're trying to look into the countries? Now, the population structures determine the pyramid level. You can believe me, the level of the people in a country, they're there to determine the level of the pyramid. Example, where rural settlements are based, where more people are living in the rural areas. What is the base? The base is wider. The base is wider. The population pyramid is wider at the base because there are more births. There are a lot of children, because people in the village, they bear more children, 10, 11, 15, all these. They have nothing to do. They are not equipped up with the knowledge of the family planning and the like. Additionally, if the settlement is centered in the urban, what happens? The pyramid is wider at the bottom. When more of the people are living in the urban area, for example, town, it is wider at the base, whereby the age of 20 to 40, it's whereby it is wider. Why? Because these are some of the ages whereby they are involved much, that is in the immigration, marriages, where people that are different now, they're moving from one country to another in terms of the marriage, business, they're being concentrated on these areas. That is the reason in urban areas, the pyramid itself is centered at this level. At the same time, the population in the urban areas attract migrants. People, they are moving up and down, one for marriages. People are moving for marriages. War, disappeared. People that have been displaced up with the war, they run. Most of the people who run are the ages of 20 to 40, because after 40, people that are old aged, some of them they die. At the same time, the ages is 0 to 15 or 0 to 19. Most of them, they are too young that they cannot run away. But in this case, 20 to 40, these are the ages where people they travel because of the war, disabilities, at the same time, and business. People, they are there to move from one area to another just because of business at the ages of 20 to 40. It is of no wonder to see that in the ages of 20 to 40 in towns, they are congested. Why? Because of business. A business person cannot be settled in the rural area. They always settled in the urban areas. These migrants are centered in the urban areas. The urban areas whereby we find a lot of these people. These people are found much in the urban areas. Let us see factors leading to population structures. What are the factors leading to population structures? Factors leading to population structures. What are the factors which may lead to the population? For example, the pyramid to be different. What do you think are some of the factors? One of the factors which is very important is settlement. We're going to consider the settlement. For example, the way people are settled, the settlement itself. The settlement itself, the way people are settled, for example, those settling in the rural areas, they have a wider base of the pyramid at the bottom than those who are based much in town, as I've already explained. One of the things is the settlement part of it. Are you based in town? Are you based in rural? This will determine the structure level. At the same time, the level of education. Education will determine the structure level, because people who are well educated, they don't have much children. As such, the population structure is wider at the middle, because at the middle it's whereby we see more people, because most of the people they are concentrated at school. Why? There is low birth rate. For example, in the countries like the UK, America, Japan, you can't see a person marrying at 15, a person marrying at 20. What? They are busy concentrating on their education. As such, the population structure is very wider within the ages of 20 to 40, as I've already explained. At the same time, as this level, for example, on the part of education, you can also look at Bangladesh. Bangladesh is mostly in concentrated in the rural areas. Because of that, the education is very low. Education is very low in the way that most of the young people, they depend on the government to be fed, to be educated, to be provided with the health. While in the United Kingdom and Japan, you see people, they are in towns where most of the larger populations, they are older people. Young people, they are in schools. Why? Because of education. Further true, because of the income or the wealth. Countries which are rich, they are not concentrated much on the bearing of children. But those countries which are poor, they are nothing to do, they are not educated, they don't see the complication of bearing more children. As such, they just bear the children, thereby at the end of the day, the country has been overpopulated with poverty. All those countries whereby they are rich, they are not concentrated with the bearing of children, they are there with education. By the end of the period, we see that the population structure, which makes part of the pyramid, at the bottom is narrower, while at the within the middle they become wider. You can see at the same time as we are going, because all the people, there are many, you can see that it becomes wider and wider until we see. But in these poorest countries that at the bottom they're wider, they are becoming narrower and narrower because there is a low expectancy lifespan. The lifespan is low. At the same time, while in the rich, the lifespan is high. They're advanced in medicine, or they are educated. They know the implication of bearing more children. They know how to care themselves. Everything is there for them for good. Now, after looking at the factors leading to the population structure, let us see the dependency ratio. Let us look into the dependency ratio. What is a dependency ratio? When we say dependency ratio, these are people who are too young or too old to work. Dependents, when you say the dependency ratio, dependents are people who are too young or too old to work. They cannot work just because of their age. Because of that, they depend on other people. Now, those people who care them, they are there taking a role in trying to look after them. Dependency relation, when you say dependency relation, now it's a relationship between the working population and the non-working population. The population which is working and the other which is not working. The other which is not working is the one which is depending on those who are working. In so doing, this interaction is the one which is called a dependency relation. Therefore, a dependency relation is found by percentage population aged 0 to 14. You can see that a child aged 0 to 14 cannot work, depend on some people, plus a population aged 65, a person who is over 65 or 65 cannot work as well. He is now weak. Because of that, we take this small percentage of the children plus those of the old, divided by percentage population of the people above 15 years to 64, 15 years to 64, these are the people who can work. Then you multiply by 100 to get the percentage. This is the one which is lesson 1 that's on the population structure. We'll proceed starting from the dependency ratio in further explanation towards the other topic. Thanks so much for your understanding. The assignment is attached. Please refer to it and answer. In this case, I haven't attached the assignment, but I will just attach the assignment. Thank you so much for your understanding. I appreciate it. Have a nice day. Continue listen to other subjects and enjoy with other lessons as well. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much.